This is the Claim Your Day podcast. I'm your host, Nick Maisie. If you're tired of drifting and you're ready to start living intentionally according to your values, you're in the right place, my friend. We're here to help you lead with excellence at home, at work, and in your community so you can live with significance. Let's bridge the gap between who you are today and who you are called to be. Now is the time for you to claim your day. Hello, my friend, and welcome to episode 90 of the Claim Your Day podcast. This is the second episode in the Decision Filter series. If you missed the first one, make sure you go check it out. I think it's got some. I have a really good insight from John Maxwell on a filter to use for decisions, and how to make sure that your calendar isn't, your worth's not found in how full your calendar is, but we want to be effective so that we can have the greatest impact according to our values. That's where it's so important to make sure that your decisions are aligned with that, as well as we touch a little bit on how good can actually be the enemy of what's best. So if you missed it, make sure you go back and check it out. But there's a few more episodes in this Decision Filter series. This is the second one here. We're talking about the compass versus the clock and how speed might actually be the enemy. Speed might not be what's actually serving you best. So let's get into it. Have you ever had one of those days where it seemed like you checked 20, 30 things off the to-do list and you were just on? You were rocking and rolling, knocking stuff out from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., but then you're lying in bed at night and you still feel like you didn't actually get anywhere. You felt productive because you checked a whole bunch of things off, but you didn't feel like you're really living on purpose. See, John Maxwell talks about the law of navigation, that anyone can steer the ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. See, and most of us, we're excellent at steering. We're great at reacting when things comes our way, when the waves and the wind hit, or the fires pop up. We can adjust on the fly, and it's not a problem. But if you don't have a compass, and really guiding, and charting that course, then you could just be, steering yourself in circles, maybe at high speeds, maybe you're going real fast, but you might not be making the progress that you want. And so this really can be an efficiency trap. So we can call this, an efficiency trap. We're being really efficient, but are we really being effective? We're going to look at why a clock, why efficiency, how fast we're doing things, it can be useless, really, if you don't first have a compass to determine the direction that you're going. It's time to stop worrying about how fast you're going and start focusing on where you're headed. So as always, I have just a few key points. The first one is the efficiency trap. It is all about that. Efficiency can really be just a trap. Now, I heard this story, and it was a gentleman for this book that I was reading. It was sharing about when he did this long relay race. Each person was running 5 to 10 miles on each one of their legs, and it was multiple days in a row. This seems brutal, but what happened is he was running. Now he can say why he missed the turn that he was supposed to take, but some other guys were running next to him, weren't on his team, and they were dead set that they knew the way, and so all three of them passed the turn. Now this guy, he was running fast. But after a mile or two, he realized he missed his turn and he was going the wrong direction. So then he had to turn around, backtrack, run even faster, just to be able to get to that next meeting point for one of his other teammates to take over. So he was running fast. He was being efficient, but he wasn't being effective because after a little bit, he missed that turn. He was actually going the wrong way. See, in our professional lives, we often prioritize the urgent, the things that need to happen now, over the important. We become masters of answering emails, attending meetings, doing all these things. Check the box. That's the clock. But we end up ignoring the deep work. Charting that course for the team. Looking at really being intentional. Where are the values? Where's the big plan? Make sure we're on track with that. Or here's a good one. Here's a good one. We end up ignoring our core values, personal core values, the family connections and, our legacy and the real impact that we're having, in work and outside of work. That's the compass. That's the direction. See, efficiency, it's all about doing things right. Effectiveness is about doing the right things according to our purpose. That's the big impact right there. Efficiency versus effectiveness. Think about that. So that's the efficiency trap. It's doing the wrong things well. We're going to do them well. We're going to do them fast. But are they really the right things? So that's the first point. I want you to think about the efficiency trap when you're scheduling things, when you're choosing what you're doing. Think about that efficiency trap. The next one, it's all about that law of navigation from John Maxwell. It's about charting the course. See, and leaders, they don't just start driving. They don't just start going forward. If so, they're a terrible leader. All right, sorry. But leaders, they don't just start driving. They plan the trip. They chart that course. And to move from the clock to the compass, you have to look at the priorities. And Stephen Covey talked a lot about this in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So you probably have seen this quadrant. It's like a 4-box system. But today we're just going to talk about just 2 of them. One is when things that are urgent and important. These are the crises that pop up. They're the fires that come our way. You have to do these things. You have to. It's a crisis. It's a fire. It has to be addressed. But the key is that we don't want to just live where things are urgent and important. Instead, we need to make a shift over to the zone where we can really use the compass, we can set the direction. And this is the not urgent but important. This is where we're being intentional by doing what is most important. It might not be urgent right now, but we're going to do the most important things. And that will ultimately end up reducing some of the fires in the long run. See, when you're focusing on what's most important and not urgent, this is where growth, this is where relationship building, this is where strategic planning, this is where impact happens. This is where we want to live, according to our compass and our direction, what's most important. See, if you don't intentionally schedule your time in this compass zone, then the clock is going to steal it away from you, 100%. So we got to chart the course. So the first one is beware of that efficiency trap. The second point is chart that course. We can call it the compass zone. You want to live there. You want to intentionally schedule time addressing the most important, not urgent, the most important things. Otherwise, that clock is going to steal your time away. So the third point is actually scheduling an alignment meeting. Schedule this thing. Having a weekly alignment meeting on your calendar. See, high-performing leaders, they don't just hope to stay on track. They actually schedule time. They schedule a meeting with themselves to ensure that they can stay on track, get back on track, make the adjustments that they need to make. This is truly a professional tool for high-performing leaders. All right? They don't hope that it happens. They make it happen. There's a weekly alignment meeting with yourself. This can be very, very simple. It might be every Monday or every Sunday evening, Monday morning, whenever works best for you, but put it on your calendar and keep that appointment with yourself just like you would a client or a supervisor. Put that account on your calendar. It might be, if I could only accomplish 3 things this week and feel like I won, what would they be? That'd be a great question to ask yourself in your weekly alignment meeting. Or which current urgent tasks can I delegate or delete to make room for my more important ones? Well, or this week, how does my calendar this week reflect my commitment to my most important goals and my values? How does it reflect my commitment to my family, if that's one of your values? Making sure that we're not staying just in the professional sense of what we can do so we can accomplish things at work. That's not that, my friend. When you focus in on that, and that's all, and if that's all you're going to focus on, and ignore other values in your life, you will be stuck in the drift. The drift will steal your calendar, your time, and your life away if you're not taking the time to make sure that your weeks are aligned with your core values. So schedule that meeting. Use it. High-performing leaders do it, and you can do it too, because you're a high-performing leader, right? Whether if it's at work, at home, in the community, it doesn't matter. A simple weekly alignment meeting can help you to stay on track with what is truly most important to you. And it can help you to win at work as well. All right. So those are the 3 points for this episode is, we're going to beware of the efficiency trap. We're going to chart the course, and we're going to have weekly alignment meetings with ourselves to make sure that we're on the right track, and so we can adjust as needed. All right. So your simple action steps for this episode for this week. I want you to take 15 minutes. In fact, I want to push you a little bit. Either do it today or tomorrow morning. Spend 15 minutes with your compass. Write down your top 3 non-negotiable wins for the day. I love the big 3. Big 3 is so powerful. You can do it for the day, and you can do it for the week. You can do it for any time frame, but it is so powerful to help you to be on track and have the impact that you want. So take 15 minutes, get into the compass zone, and focus on what's truly most important to you. And here's a kicker for your navigation time. Don't let the clock, the emails, the notifications, the demands, the attention grabbers dictate your first hour out of the day. You want to really win? This is awesome. Be very intentional with that first hour out of your day. And you know what you can put in that first hour? You can put some time in the compass zone to make sure that you're really navigating and charting that course for your week and your days. All right. Now, here's another simple action step. You can block time, even just 30 minutes this week, so that you can really zone in to this compass zone. All right. Guard it fiercely. No meetings, no interruptions, or nothing. Only work that moves you towards your long-term vision. So you can do a 15-minute little planning session. Make sure that you know what you need to do for the day and the week. The big 3 non-negotiables. Do that. It's a 15-minute charting that course, 15 minutes to chart the course. Do that today or tomorrow, 100%. And then block time, we'll call it a no-fly zone. Block time this week where you can lean into those big non-negotiables so that you can make progress on the things that are truly, truly most important to you. Put those on your calendar and keep those commitments to yourself. Be a person of integrity with the word that you give yourself. Of course, have integrity with what you tell other people, but what you tell yourself is every bit as important too. All right, that's it. That's it, my friend. Thank you for listening to this episode. Hopefully, this Decision Filter series, you'll get some value out of it. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any other ones. We still have a few more coming up. And as always, you can go to nickmazy.com. I have some resources there. One's the Intentional Choice Guide, helps you to zero in on your top values so that you can use them as a filter. And then another one is, you've heard me mention it, I'm really thinking about putting together a community where there'll be some training, some material. It's all about stopping the drift, going from drifting to living a life of intentionality and significance. And if that sounds like anything that resonates with you, it's going to be right in line with pretty much all my podcast episodes, really. But I'd love to hear from you, because as I'm putting this together, I want to make sure it's the greatest value to you. Also, I'd love to have you as one of the founding members when we do open the doors. So with that, you can go to nickmazy.com/lifeleaders. That's going to be the name of it, because we're going to be leading our lives going forward, and living out our values for impact and significance. So go to nickmazy.com/lifeleaders. Let me know that you're interested, and that way we can figure out how we can really design the ideas that I have, as well as what makes the most sense for you and have the greatest impact, and to be able to make it the best that it can be. Once again, go to nickmazy.com/lifeleaders. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining in. And I can't wait to talk to you again in the next episode.